take a look at the formula in the table. Copy this down on your paper. Got it? Okay, now, what you're looking at is a formula for what is called, it's actually for an arch. Like, for example, for some of you that have traveled, there's this place in the middle of the United States, St. Louis. They have what is called a St. Louis arch. It looks kind of like that. Okay. Uh, it's a big construction. But this is what an arch is. Okay. Let's go with something a little more familiar. If you go down the road from here, there's this place called McDonald's, and they're golden arches. There's two of them. Yeah, yeah. That makes up the big M. Yeah. Each of these are arches. Now, you cannot just freehand an arch. Yeah. When architects build these things, they have formulas that calculate how high above the ground the arch goes. It just depends on how far out you go from the base. So, for example, if I go out a certain distance from the base right here, we'll call that x. We can calculate how high above the ground the arch is. Right here. That's the y value. Yeah. So, you can, wherever you are, away from this base right here at the bottom, we can calculate how high the arch is based on that formula right there. Okay, so let's do that. We are going to calculate how high above the ground the arch is if we go 10 feet. Okay, so this is in feet. If we go 10 feet away from the base, so if I were to walk out 10 feet away from this end of the arch, we should be able to calculate how high above the ground the arch is. Okay, so let's see. The distance for x is 10 feet. So, I replace x with 10. Okay, now we discussed how to work with the square. Yeah, we cannot multiply 0.1 until we figure out what the square is. We did this in the last book, looking for Pythagoras. Square means to multiply by itself. If it means anything, it means to write the 10 twice. Yeah. If the exponent had been 3, for example, if it read 10 to the third, this means to write it 3 times. And then multiply it together. Here it says to multiply it twice. So, my first step is I wrote the 10 twice. Everything else stays the same. Now we start our calculations. Do we multiply first or do we subtract first? Multiply. So, 5 times 10. 50. We'll take this one in little parts. 0.1, 10 times 10 is 100. Okay, do we subtract first or do we multiply first? We still multiply. So 50 minus 0.1 times 100. 10. And now we subtract. Okay, so if you look at the arch, what this says is if I go 10 feet away from the base right here, the arch is 40 feet above the ground. So in my table, I will put 40 feet. Okay. You need to calculate the rest. Now, just keep in mind, what we did first was we replaced the value of x with 10. Since the exponent says 2, I wrote the 10 twice. And then I just followed the same order of operations that I did before. Multiply comes before subtract. Multiply, multiply, subtract.